What's up, guys? Welcome to the fourth episode of Avillion and Brayden Talks. This one is the quarterly NFL check-in. This one is mostly going to be us making our playoff predictions, division winners predictions, and NFL award winner predictions, along with some of the other usual segments that we have on here. But first, before anything, as always, how you doing, man?
I am doing amazing. This is probably the most excited I've been to record one of these,
Ooh.
including the first one.
I agree. First
This
one's a little nervous because it's like, all right, new thing.
this is well, for one. Also, both of our teams beat the brakes off of our opponent this
Yeah, we
week, so
had a really good
we're
wins.
we're in good spirits right
Yeah,
now.
I
So,
yeah, I think that we
um,
could probably. I'll breeze through the Cowboys section. Take all the time you need for the Titans one.
all right. Yeah, I guess I have a lot of good
If
things to
you
say this
yeah,
week.
I mean we could probably just hop right into that. I mean we're both
I
feeling
think
good. We can just get into
we're
the
feeling good. I think so too.
yeah.
So, yeah, what a win. I mean, the Bengals only scored 3 points. It came on their first drive of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and the only reason they were able to get 3 points is because Amani Hooker dropped a goal line interception. And
Mm.
he seems to always sit up in his gaming chair when we play the Bengals, so to speak. He had the interception in the playoffs a couple of years ago that we unfortunately lost. However, we did not lose this game because, unlike the playoff game a couple of years ago, Ryan Tannehill was in his bag, and so was offensive coordinator Tim Kelly. So,
Mm.
um, this was probably the best week we've seen as far as utilization of both Derrick Henry and Tyjae Spears. Henry had 22 carries. Shout out number 22, Derrick Henry. 122 yards, number
Mm.
22, funny enough. And then a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown,
He
which
could. It's in his bag.
teams
Should be known.
teams teams do not respect the king cat formation. Time and time again, it's been proven. The success rate, whether it be running or passing out of the king cat on the goal line, is absurd, and teams have no respect for it. It's insane. We've gone through three different offensive coordinators now, and all three of them have kept this this formation in the playbook because it works.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Smith used it. Todd Downing used it. Tim Kelly's offense is completely different from both of those guys. He doesn't run the wide zone stuff. He runs a lot more inside gap runs and whatnot, and he still uses the King Cat because of how effective it is. And as long as teams don't respect Derrick Henry's arm, funny enough, in that formation, we're gonna keep getting away with it every time, every once in a while. So, um, and speaking of, it was Josh Wiley who caught the touchdown on that play. He had a fantastic game. He had almost as many snaps as Trayvon Wesco. I think Wesco had a few more in terms of percentages. He was a little bit higher, but in general, they like Wiley got a lot more involved this week, and he threw some insane blocks. He had like a 22-yard reception or 24-yard catch or something like that. And then, of course, he had the touchdown pass out of the King Cat formation, and it was Jeffrey Bernard Simmons lined up at
I
fullback
saw
in
that.
the King
Yeah.
Cat formation. I'm like, this is the most unserious play call I have. Like, we were just having fun out there because we were already up by two scores. There was
Mm-hmm.
14 seconds left going into the half, and we were going to get the ball in the half. So we said, "Fuck it, let's have some fun," because our defense is playing out of their mind right now. So
Right.
Derrick Henry touchdown pass to Josh Wiley, first of Wiley's career, and Jeff Simmons blocking at fullback. Like that's that's incredible.
I love when defensive players get involved in some offensive plays.
I love
It's
it,
so
and
fun.
I kind of want to see. I want to see Jeff Simmons get like a fullback dive kind of carry at
Mm.
some point this year. I think that'd be hilarious because, especially if you're asking defenses to not only take a block from Jeff Simmons, but then try to tackle Derrick Henry. That is the definition of business decision if you look that up in the dictionary.
Right.
Um, because now you've got one of the toughest motherfuckers in the league, really, in Jeff Simmons, who's playing out of position, and then you've got Henry behind him. If you somehow get through Simmons, you still have to try and tackle Derrick Henry, who's likely going to have somewhat of a head of steam already, because Simmons, I'm sure, can sustain a block for at least a little bit. Um, like that was a lot of fun to watch. Chris Moore continues to make plays when called upon. He has 4 catches this year for I think 133 yards. He's averaging 33 and a half yards a catch. I know, so which is most in the NFL. Granted, I'm sure there's probably some kind of like um, catches based like asterisk there. Like he probably wouldn't be number one in the league because he only has 4 catches, but in general, 4 catches, 133 yards. He's been awesome. He had a 44-yard reception in this game, which came right before that King Cat formation. DeAndre Hopkins had 3 third down conversions in this game, and in general, he has 8 this season, which is tied for most either in the league or in the conference. But either way, DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, has been more or less what I thought he would be. He's not elite anymore at this point in his career, but
Yeah.
he was never the kind of guy that won with speed. He always won through route craft and strong hands, and both of those are absolutely still in his bag. His routes are really good, and the hands look just as good as they've ever looked. He's fighting through contact at the catch point. He's coming down with some. He's come down with a couple hospital balls this season. Honestly, he's been exactly what I wanted him to be. He's been safe. He's been secure, and he's been a chain mover. So
Right. I saw that stat about first down
yeah,
receptions.
yeah. Hopkins, 8 in the league, 8 on third down
Yeah.
so averaging 2 per game, and I know he had 3 against the Bengals. So
Mm.
um, this guy fucks really is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
probably the
then
real
we
reason he
did
went back to
this.
college.
Yeah, and we did this. We did this without no Traylon Burks in the lineup. Kyle Phillips, of course, still on IR. Um, Peter Skoronsky, of course, still dealing with the appendicitis recovery, and NPF, who is now coming off suspension next week instead of a couple weeks later because of they altered the rules, so they've kind of grandfathered some of the guys. And Jamison Williams, I know, comes back this week as well.
Yep.
So it was only 4-game suspensions instead of 6-game suspensions for the guys that got suspended 6 games. So.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Nicholas Petit-Frere will get inserted into the lineup because Chris Hubbard's done a very good job at right tackle. But for sure, Peter Skoronsky gets to come back, and he was our best offensive lineman in Week 1. I'm excited to see how he plays going forward. But more importantly, he gets to stay at guard because Andre Dillard didn't suck this week.
Oh.
Andre Dillard was really good. So especially in pass protection, he was the best pass protector in this game on our offensive line. So
And against a good defense, not like
against a
not
good-
like
a
he
good
had this
pass
game
rush, too.
against
This
some.
is-
Yeah.
It's Trey Hendrickson and Miles Murphy, and like this is a good group of guys. Bowie, please stop chewing on me. Sorry, cat attack. But that was a good group of edge defenders, and he held his own. I don't even know that he got that much chip help, but and Tyjae Spears in this game had 8 touches. He had 3 on the first drive, and I know he had a catch on third down where he caught it short of the line of scrimmage or short of the line to gain, made a defender miss, and then stretched out to pick up the first down. Like that's huge. You love seeing that from your RB2. This is something we've never had with Derrick Henry. We have never had a compliment who is just consistent on a week-to-week basis, who you can give the ball to, and we had Deontay Foreman, but he's the same flavor as Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So Deontay Foreman didn't get going until Derrick Henry got injured, and Dontrell Hilliard. I mean, he's kind of like Spears, but he's not as good as what Spears is right now. And so Spears, at one point in this game, he caught a pitch from Ryan Tannehill, fumbled the pitch a couple steps later, picked it up, bounced around to the opposite side, and gained 22 yards. This guy is awesome. This guy's fucking awesome. I can't say enough good things about Tyjae Spears. He had, I think 8 touches is the most he's had all season, and I think those numbers are only going to grow. So, but of course, they didn't forget about Derrick Henry again. 22 carries in this game for 122 yards and 2 total touchdowns. Like, this was a great week of balance for those two by Tim Kelly, and the passing game looks really good. I mean, Ryan Tannehill threw one of those patented gunslinger intercept. Ryan Tannehill's often viewed as a game manager. He's not. He will chuck that bitch. Sometimes ill-advised, but he will. And he threw a double coverage pass to Colton Dowell, who was our rookie 7th-round pick, who was active for the first time all season because he's been a healthy scratch every week, just because we haven't needed him.
Right.
But with Traylon being out, of course, he was active this week. And that was picked off because it's double coverage to a rookie 7th-round wide receiver. And so we were up by 3 scores at that point. Like, the game wasn't in jeopardy, but it's like, do you really need to make that throw?
It's like,
can you just throw it away? It's second down, man. I mean, it was kind of an arm punt because of where they got the ball afterwards, but like, just throw it away, man. It's second down. You have another down to work with. You're in the lead. Don't do anything to let the Bengals back into this game. But
yeah.
It didn't. They couldn't get anything going offensively after that first drive.
It just.
Joe Mixon had 4.8 yards per carry, so the Titans' patented run defense wasn't quite what it was this week. But I think I sent you that screenshot of there not being any defenders or like anybody on the line in the middle. Like all three interior offensive linemen didn't have somebody lined up across from them because we were not threatened at all by like Joe Burrow running up the middle while they were at the goal line. And I think
Right.
in general in that game we didn't defend the interior as much, so naturally Mixon got going a little bit more. But I'm not worried about our run defense in the future. I know also like Tier Tart and Danico Autry were both dealing with injuries, so they were both like on a pitch count in this game.
Mm.
Um, Trevis Gibson had 3 snaps in this game, and one of which was a sack that was also a forced fumble.
Oh.
And Mike Vrabel was asked about him. He didn't even let the reporter finish his question. He just heard the name Trevis Gibson and said, "Yeah, he's gonna play more." So on the season, I think, or no, in this game, he had like a 97 point something PFF grade because in those 3 snaps, of course, he
Yeah.
made his he made a good point of getting some work in. And he has like 10 snaps on the season. His grade is like 92.2 or something like that. Like, he's been good in limited time. Obviously, that's going to go down if he gets more snaps. But in general, I like Travis Gibson. I liked him a lot in Vic Fangio's defense, and I think this is a much better scheme fit for him than what Matt Eberflus was using him as. So, in general, as long as Gibson gets more snaps, I think he's better than Rashad Weaver right now. Weaver hasn't really been too great this season, and Harold Landry is definitely still working back from that ACL tear because he really hasn't given us too much. And honestly, I want to see a lot of Gibson next week because we're gonna have to try to chase Anthony Richardson in the pocket, and I don't know that Harold Landry is really going to give you that right now. I think later in the season he'll start to come on more, but it's too early. Unfortunately, he has not been quite the player that he's what his pedigree is, which is not his fault. Again, ACL tear, it usually takes some time even after you come back. Um, but overall, I mean, great team win. I mean, defense obviously played lights out. Offense was those the 30 points are elusive still. We haven't scored 30 in 2 years. So we never scored 30 last year. 27 was our high last year. We scored 27 twice this year already. We could have scored 30, and I was begging them to kick a field goal at the end of this game because we were in field goal range. And it doesn't hurt to stat pad with Nick Folk because he has the longest active streak of no missed field goals in the NFL right now. He's 18 of 18 in his last 18,
Yeah.
and that's better than any other kicker in the league right now. And of course, he made another kick in this game. He had a 53-yarder on our first drive, so he's been lights out this year. And it's nice finally having an automatic kicker because for the last like decade, really since Baronis left, we have just had shit at the kicker position. It's
Yeah.
been inconsistency or guys who are good from like 40, but as soon as you get into like 45 plus range, you never know what you're gonna get, which is exactly what Randy Bullock was for us for 2 years. But Nick Folk has hit like I think 3 field goals from 50 plus yards already this year, and he's hitting his touchbacks too, which for some reason he couldn't do in New England. Maybe it was the weather. I don't know. Obviously, it's a lot warmer in Nashville than it is in Foxborough. So maybe that's what it is. The leg was cold. He wasn't hitting touchbacks. He's been hitting the touchbacks this year on the kickoffs, and just a great all around game. Like everybody got involved. We were having fun clearly, and great win. We actually now I texted you this stat. Of course, we're now 1-3 against the Bengals since Joe Burrow was drafted, but we actually now hold
Right.
the lead in terms of point differential because the Bengals beat us by I think 11 points, 3 points, and 4 points, and we just beat them by 24. So it's like +6, I think, in the point differential in the series in favor of Tennessee, despite the negative record. So that's, I guess, moral victory that we get for the series. But yeah, I'm just glad we got over the hump of finally beating the Bengals with Joe Burrow because it's been brutal. But yeah, I'm sorry, I've taken up enough time here. But,
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
Great win.
It's
all
your
around.
best win
Very
of the
happy with.
season. Get to enjoy it.
Yeah, and of course you guys had a get back game as well. So
Yeah.
go ahead and give us your thoughts there.
And again, I'll be like I said, I'll be quick with the Cowboys because this is the performance we've seen twice already. 3 out of our 4 performances this year have been this, where it's just the defense is absolutely dominating. Because we held the Giants to 0, the Jets to 10. I'm talking about the good games, so I won't bring up the Cardinals. And then we hold the Patriots to 3, give Bill Belichick the worst loss in terms of point difference in his career.
Oh wow.
Yeah. 38 to 3, worst ever loss.
Oh yeah, that's brutal.
For the worst ever loss Bill Belichick has ever suffered as a head coach. It's like I said, it's more of the same. I mean, Micah Parsons didn't. I think he was dealing with something with his ankle, so he didn't play as much. But when he played, he still looked like Micah Parsons. I don't think he recorded any sacks, but he was still getting plenty of pressures, which is what's important.
Yeah. What you want to see, especially if he's injured, you just want to see him get out there and rush.
Yeah.
Just look good. We're doing it.
And I think Deron Bland heard Jerry Jones say that he's not Diggs or something. I don't think that's the exact quote, but that's essentially, he's like, we can't replace Diggs. And Deron Bland was like, I mean, you can. Because Deron Bland had 2 interceptions, including a pick 6.
Yep.
And then Dante Fowler forces a fumble that Leighton Vander Esch scoops up and scores. So we had 2 touchdowns that game. I think we have 3 or 4 defensive touchdowns right now. And I think the record in a season is 10. I think it's on the table.
On the table.
I will not say it will happen, but with how this defense plays, it is on the table. Extra game, it's on the table.
You are technically on pace for it.
Yes.
Even in a 16-game season, you'd be on pace for 12. If the record is 10, you are on pace to beat it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how sustainable that is, but you are on pace.
Yeah. I mean, we play the Giants again, so.
Well, there's at least one right there.
And with the Commanders' offensive line, how they protect Sam Howell.
Oh, it didn't look too bad against the Eagles.
No, it didn't. But that's just more of the Commanders, how they play the Eagles somehow.
I guess, yeah, especially in Philly for some reason. They're like, they
I feel
their house and they play great.
So we both had picked the Eagles, but I was very hesitant, and I made it clear that I thought it'd be a close game. Yeah.
I was too.
I was like, okay. But anyways,
Terry McLaurin, who was it in coverage? It was, what's the guy's name? The safety is gonna drive me nuts. Anyway, Terry McLaurin landed on his arm, and it would have been an inbounds catch.
Yes.
If he didn't land on his arm.
Yeah.
And, that is so frustrating because Sam Howell was dealing. Honestly, I really wish they had just gone for 2 to end the game.
Yeah.
You have all the momentum at that point. You're on the
100%.
road. That's the general rule. If you're at home, kick the PAT, go to overtime. If you're on the road, win it now. Is the general rule. Obviously, you can stray from it. It's not the
Robinson was running good. Just run it with him.
Yeah, or
just do something. Or just do anything. At least try.
Go for 2. Yeah, nobody's gonna fault you for going for 2 on the road.
As the underdog.
Yes, nobody's gonna say that's a bad decision.
Yeah.
But when you tie the game and then have to punt, and then they kick a field goal and win. Yeah, there are plenty of people who are going to criticize you for not going for 2.
Yeah, but yeah, the red zone woes continue. I mean, it was a little bit better this game.
Yeah.
And it's just this is the last game I'll excuse the red zone woes because my mind was like, offenses start slow in the NFL. I think, especially when you have a new play caller. But I was ready to excuse it because not only do I think they start slow, we also didn't get the chance to really get into our bag in terms of what the offensive play calling could be because we got so up so fast against some of our opponents. We're like, okay, let's keep some of the better stuff still hidden. The only game that really you had a chance to try stuff out and get better with it was the Cardinals game, and it was god awful in that game.
Yeah.
But next week it's the Niners. There's no excuses. That's a great defense. I know it's a great defense, but with the implications of it, you have to be better. And if you're not, I don't know. I can stomach a close loss to the Niners, but if we have these red zone woes, we're gonna get beat bad by the Niners. And if we get blown out by the Niners, I'll sell the season. But so nothing really new because this is just stuff we've seen.
I hear you.
So yeah, I'm ready to just we can just go ahead and move on to the. I was thinking we do we pick the division winners, then we do the awards, and then we do the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's cool with you.
Sounds good to me. Divisions. AFC or NFC first?
Let's just both. We'll do AFC. We'll go AFC. We'll do the Northeast Southwest. Okay. NFC Northeast Southwest, and we'll both just share each division. So what I did was I went to that playoff predictor thing where you pick all the games.
Yeah.
And it auto picks. It keeps track with what's actually happening. So all the games that have already happened, it's already input those games as they had happened. Yeah. So I picked the rest, and there's some teams that have tough schedules that I'm like, okay, they're not going to be as high in the seeding as people might have thought given their tough tough schedule, but we'll get to them.
Right.
We could start with the AFC North. Do you want to just talk about winners, or do you want to talk about the whole division?
For time constraints, we can do winners.
Okay.
We can maybe briefly touch on some other teams, but as far as like a full breakdown of each,
I think we could just do winners, and then we can talk about when we get to playoff predictions. Well, that's when we could talk about who the wild card teams will be.
Okay.
So let's start with the NFC North.
NFC North.
I've got you. We can just jump into it. I've got the Ravens now. It's
the AFC North, but yes.
I thought you said it. I thought we were doing AFC.
You said NFC.
Oh.
Just a second ago.
Oh. Well, I think I said AFC, and then I must have said NFC.
Yes, you did. You said AFC at first, but then you said NFC, and I'm like, all right, I'll let him cook. And then you said Ravens, and I'm like, well, no, okay, now I'm confused.
Okay.
But,
okay. AFC.
Yep.
Yeah. AFC. So yeah, I've got the Ravens. I had to jump. It's just had to jump off the Bengals. It's as sad as it is, as much as it hurts me. I had to jump off.
Yeah. I don't think there, and I do want to talk about at least about Cincinnati here. Like I don't know that there's any shot this year, really, because you either have to sit Burrow because clearly he's not healthy.
No.
I mean, the Titans were blatantly disrespecting him with some of the defensive formations they were putting up because they knew he couldn't move like he typically does. And it showed because he got his ass whooped. Yeah. Like, he was getting the shit kicked out of him behind the line of scrimmage.
It's tough because that roster is so good, but you do just – I think you might just have to punt the season.
Well, you either have to sit Burrow until he's healthy, because really initially the timetable was he wasn't supposed to be healthy until this upcoming week when we first heard about the injury. But then all of a sudden he's good to go week 1, and he doesn't look right. And then week 3 he tweaks it, and then week 4 it looks bad. And
I think it was week 2 he tweaked it.
Or sorry, week 2 that he tweaked it. But then I mean, but he was somehow good to go week 3, and they won. And then week 4 it's just not looking good.
Yeah.
So you either have to sit Burrow or continue to play him injured. Either way, you're not a good football team right now, and it sucks. Because
how did they beat the Rams? How?
I mean, it's
gotta watch that game back.
Any given Thursday, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
yeah,
that was a Thursday night game, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, it was Sunday night.
No, it was a Sunday. Yeah.
It was a doubleheader Sunday night with them and Rams Bengals, and it was also Eagles Bucks.
That was a Monday night doubleheader then.
Monday night. Yeah. You're right. Okay. Monday night.
Yeah, never mind. So
it was prime time.
Yes, prime time. I remember that. I know it was a dark mood.
Yeah, but let's. I think
sorry, let me talk about Baltimore.
Yeah, let's talk about the winners.
I agree. Pittsburgh, they still haven't fired Matt Canada, but Mike Tomlin said he's going to make changes. So he said that Matt Canada's not going to be fired. Like either yesterday or today. He probably today, maybe, I don't know. But either way, Matt Canada's still there, so this team stinks. Yeah. Unfortunately, I love the defense, but
yeah, that's the same reason I don't have the Browns winning either. It's just because you lose Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson has looked terrible in a Browns uniform.
DTR unfortunately did not look nearly as good as I had hoped against Baltimore as well, which is now it's Josh. Like they traded Josh Dobbs because DTR beat him out. Josh Dobbs has looked pretty good.
Yeah.
For the Cardinals, and DTR did not look very good against Baltimore. So
it's interesting.
Even against a great defense in San Francisco, Josh Dobbs was dealing for a decent chunk of that game. I watched that game. He looked pretty good.
Yeah. So we both got the Ravens here.
Yeah, it's Baltimore for sure. They'd be 4-0 if it wasn't for a no call on. I don't remember if it was EJ Speed or Zaire Franklin. I think it was EJ Speed, but basically tackled Zay Flowers before the ball got there. And,
right.
If that was called, they're 4-0. So I feel great about Baltimore. Like I said going into the season, this is easily the best group of weapons Lamar's ever had, and it's showing. Especially they were the only team to really do anything against that Cleveland defense. And it's obviously it's tough when you're starting quarterbacks out. When you're a defense, if your offense isn't playing very well, it puts a lot more stress on you. But
in terms of field position, in terms of how you feel about the game,
credit though. Baltimore absolutely deserves their credit because they put up some points.
But let's get into the tougher division to pick, at least in terms of top two. The AFC East. The AFC East. Do you want to go first? Do you want to pick yours first?
Honestly, this is such a toss-up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously the Bills just beat the shit out of them. 48-20 or
48-20, I think.
Yeah, 48-20. I didn't watch this game because it was at the same time as the Titans game, and I'm not watching somebody else while the Titans are playing.
Of course.
That would be silly. But Stephon Diggs, I watched the touchdown catch. That was
Which
pretty
one?
impressive. The first one, or whichever one, the
What,
long
that
one
he
was,
broke off? That he just.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it looked good.
I
So,
played him in fantasy. Against him.
unfortunate.
Against him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have CMC on your team, right?
We'll get into it. We'll get into what
Yeah,
happened.
we'll get into that.
We'll get into
So,
it. But
I'm
yeah.
gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with Buffalo, and that's just because we've seen some inconsistencies with Miami's defense, especially of course in this previous game they just got
Right.
shit canned. So
Well, this is interesting then, because me and you then have flipped. Because I remember when we did our first predictions, you did pick Miami and I picked Buffalo, but now I am picking.
No, I'm pretty sure I picked Buffalo to win the division in the original division predictions.
Really?
I had Miami. I was high on Miami.
I thought you
I
picked
liked
them.
Miami a lot. No, I picked Buffalo. I was very high on Miami. I just made a point about I think Miami's gonna be really. I said they'd be better than the Jets.
Yeah,
I'm
that
right
you
about.
definitely picked.
That I'm definitely right about. So
Yeah.
I can confidently say they're at least the second best team in that division. I mean, it's a long season ahead, obviously.
But yeah,
I say Buffalo right now.
I got the
That's all.
Dolphins. I picked every game, so I'd have to look through it. Maybe the Dolphins have an easier schedule than the Bills, which is likely given the first place
Probably, yeah.
games that they have to play. The Bills do, and it's a difference of one game. I'm not going to say the records because I think it's irrelevant for what we're trying to talk about. But I have I've got the Dolphins winning that one. I just think that's probably. I mean, that offense is disgusting this year.
Yeah.
And I think the defense is better than I thought it'd be, even if you talk about the inconsistencies. I do think I'm trying to think. I don't remember when, but eventually they'll get Jalen Ramsey back, which he's
Yes,
not
they will get him
Jacksonville Jalen Ramsey, but I still think that's a good corner to get back.
Yeah. Well, granted, I mean, Ramsey has always been like the kind of player who will have like an elite season, and then he'll cool off a little bit the next year, and people will be like, oh, he's overrated. But actually, that's just cornerback.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's just the
like,
position.
You never see like the same Darrell Revis, whatever. But for the most, like that's like unless it's like a truly generational player
Corner
at the position, you're going to see some sporadic play year to year from the position. Jalen Ramsey still over the last 5 years has been probably the best corner in the NFL. So
yeah,
I think he'll be. I mean, the only hang up there is he's coming off of injury.
right.
So when he gets back, hopefully he gets back sooner rather than later and has time to acclimate. But either way, yeah, you're right. That'll be huge for that secondary one.
And do you want to move to your division?
This is I think the toughest one to pick because they're all 2-2 and they're all have different strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. So. I can't remember because, like I said, I picked these games. I don't remember off the top of my head what each one's schedule actually looks like. But when
they're all pretty easy, I think, except Jacksonville because they have the first place.
Yeah.
Schedule, but everybody else has like a cakewalk.
I have the Colts.
I was actually thinking the same thing, and I think this. Granted, all right. So I think. I'm gonna say at this point, Jacksonville of course had kind of a get back game against Atlanta,
right?
But also Desmond Ritter's just terrible right now.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I mean, he threw two straight passes were intercepted. He threw a pick six immediately on the next drive. First play, another interception.
Yeah, that's
come on, man.
Did you see Mac?
McCorkle?
No, Mac Hollins. I think snap at Ritter.
Oh yeah, he was pissed. I sent you that video, I think.
Probably. I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times.
Yeah, but he just Ritter was trying to dap him up after that Drake touchdown, and Mac was like, "Shut the fuck up."
And Ritter,
I don't know what he said, but
and Ritter pulled back.
Yeah, Mac Hollins was upset, and rightfully so because Ritter was playing like boiled ass in that game.
What are the chances we see Heineke?
I'd have to imagine at some point pretty high if Ritter does that again. I can't imagine his leash is that long. He was a third-round pick.
Especially with that team battling for a playoff spot, battling for the division.
Bijan Robinson's probably the second best running back in the NFL so far this season.
Yeah.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think he's already there. So
I would agree.
But yeah, sorry. We're back to AFC South.
Yeah.
I think Indy right now is my pick just because I think they're overachieving defensively a little bit. Maybe not necessarily against the Rams, just this past week, but in general, they don't have much in terms of cornerback. In fact, Dallas Flowers, I think, just tore his Achilles or something. I don't remember what he had, but I know Dallas Flowers is going to be out for the rest of the year. But in general, they haven't had much.
Hold on, my grandma's trying to call me.
No, you're good.
One second, I'll be back. All right, I'm back.
Yo.
Do you have any last words on the South?
Yeah. So I was gonna say, I mean, C.J. Stroud is playing out of his mind right now, and I think Bobby Slovic needs a lot of credit for what he's doing as the offensive coordinator, because he's been great, and I can't imagine he'll be the offensive coordinator in Houston for too long if this keeps up.
Yeah.
Probably this year and then next year, and then that's it. If we continue to see what we're seeing, and then with Tennessee, I think with this game against Indy, this Sunday is going to mean a lot for both teams, because you need to see Indianapolis bounce back again from a tough loss, an overtime loss. You need to see them bounce back, and for Tennessee, you need to see them win a game on the road, because they lost to New Orleans on the road by 1 point. They got the shit kicked out of them by Cleveland on the road.
I think we could talk about the game in the picks part, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying.
No, I know.
Like divisional like stakes. Like I have a hard time picking between all of these teams, because I mean Jacksonville. I'm not selling Jacksonville stock yet at all. They had a couple bad weeks.
Yeah.
A little bit against Atlanta. They didn't look like amazing, but they.
Yeah,
I think in general that made me feel worse about Atlanta than it did necessarily better about Jacksonville. And
totally.
Houston definitely is still in a transition phase. I think within the next year or two, Houston is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I really like Houston right now.
I do. And
it's
hard not to consider them for the division title.
For me, I do have them about right there, but yes. I do ultimately go with the Colts.
But again, you've got two rookie head coaches, and then you've got the pedigree of Mike Vrabel and what he's done with this team over the last several years.
For me, right now, Ryan Tannehill is the worst quarterback in that division, and that means, to me, that means a lot.
I agree. However, I don't think he's necessarily played poorly this year.
No.
All encompassing, he's been a little better than okay. I think he's been solid. Just about the word I'll use for him.
I think 4 weeks in, if you are the reason you lose a game, which is against the Saints,
against New Orleans,
I think at best I'll put you at okay.
Yes. Fair enough.
But he's been a lot better since that game.
He looked good against the Chargers. He had no chance of doing anything against Cleveland. That wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
And he looked good against Cincinnati outside of one really weird interception to Cole Dow.
Yeah.
So I don't feel great about him. I was even before this game, I was ready to ship him to Atlanta, because Arthur Smith could use a reunion with Ryan Tannehill right now. It's at least more stability than what Desmond Ritter's given you. But I'm gonna pick Indianapolis. I think right now Indianapolis is
okay.
So
we're in.
I love Shane Steichen. I love Anthony Richardson. I think this is where I'm at right now.
We're in the same boat there. And then, do you want to move on?
Yeah, real quick. It just sucks having two elite new head coaches and two really good young quarterbacks on opposing teams in this division. That's gonna be awful for the next several years to deal with. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Right.
But we'll move on.
Move on to the West. To me, this is a super easy pick. It's the Chiefs.
It's always been the Chiefs.
Yeah,
every year it's always been the Chiefs.
If people are overreacting to the Chargers beating the Raiders and the Vikings, they need to calm down.
I've seen them in the top 10 or 11 in so many power rankings. Who the fuck's watching the Chargers and going, yeah, this is a football team. I feel you're not.
It's I get it.
Khalil Mack every week.
I get it. Herbert, really good.
Yes.
Brandon Staley, really bad.
Awful.
And
bottom 3 head coach in the NFL.
And truly, because he's bringing down a quarterback talent of Herbert.
You are actively making your roster worse. Yeah,
when you have that quarterback, you need to be, especially healthy. I know he was dinged up last game, but he's not like Burrow level of hurt. Like when he's that level, he's that healthy. You need to be winning way more and more convincingly than you are.
And I think Josh McDaniels is honestly at this point in the same breath as Brandon Staley. I think he's almost bad.
I have a Raiders fan friend, and he is like, I don't even know why we hired him in the first place.
Well, honestly, why did they? Because it's not like McDaniels was a success in Denver. when he was a head coach.
I know.
Like this is a guy who's proven he's not good at this thing, and obviously coaches can develop just like players can.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people forget that, but it's not like Josh McDaniels showed a whole lot as New England's offensive coordinator, where you're like, hell yeah, that's my guy right there. Like, I don't understand why they hired him to begin with, and it's been a disaster. It's going to continue to be a disaster, and it's not good. It's not good in Vegas, and of course Denver. They finally got a win, but it was against Chicago, so this
Yeah.
doesn't count.
It's just in the turd bowl.
It took, what do you call it? Chicago pissed away a 21-point lead, and credit to. Oh, fun fact: Davis Webb is the quarterback coach for the Broncos. Like he was drafted in like 2017 or 2018 in the 4th round, and he's the quarterback coach in Denver. He's like 28 years old. Or something like that. He's the quarterback coach in Denver. He's doing a good job.
That's
certainly look better.
Yeah,
so that's a name to keep
like
an eye
Kellen
on
Moore.
for potential offensive coordinator within the next few years.
You're just going the Kellen Moore route.
Hopefully, he'll be a better play or like what do you call it, game planner than Kellen Moore is. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So moving on to
the NFC. Starting with the North.
NFC North.
I feel like this is another super easy one. Yeah, super easy one.
Well,
it's easy.
I still feel good about Green Bay.
I have them second in the division, but
I mean, it's
decent
impossible not to have any other team.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's fair. But I still think it's a decent gap. To me, there's like a decent gap between 1 and 2, and then a decent gap between like 2 and 3.
Yeah. I think there's another sizable gap between Green Bay and like Minnesota, and then obviously Chicago is
last. Yeah.
There's even a gap between Minnesota and
there
Chicago.
Is, which is crazy because Minnesota's been terrible.
Well,
it's just turnovers. It's this historic level of turnovers.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like over regression back to the mean. Like what I thought they would just average out back to like these bounce of ball type games. They would just be average, but no, they're the opposite of what they were last year. They are like terrible in these like bounce of ball type games. They're doing. It's the opposite of what they had last season. So all of their good luck was used up.
And then it turns out Alexander Madison is not good.
Nope, stinks.
Yeah, but
we
that's
both learned the hard way.
Yeah, I was able to get out from under him. I was able to. I at least I feel kind of lucky. I recognized a week sooner.
Yes.
Dropped him before he had his.
I drafted DeAndre Swift in like the 8th or 9th round, and that was a very good decision.
Yeah.
So, and of course I have CMC, but we'll get into that later.
But so Detroit, we're both.
I have Detroit, but I don't think Green Bay is out of it yet. I think this was a tough game for Green Bay, and you certainly want to see better performance in them in the next game in the series, but. I don't think they're out of it. We'll see. We'll see how the things go. But yeah, Detroit's the best.
And then we move on to the East.
I still got Dallas.
Yeah, I got Dallas.
I still got Dallas.
When I was talking about teams having super tough schedules, that are gonna make them hit them, like the Eagles have an extremely tough schedule.
And they've
forward.
Been played like to the wire already a couple
by
times
some teams they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, and at this point, it's like something's got to give. You're not doing what Minnesota did last year, or if you are, then you're gonna. What's gonna happen to you is what happened to Minnesota in the playoffs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If you keep playing teams down to the wire like this, and you don't eventually pull away, somebody in the playoffs is going to score more points than you.
So yeah,
at some point.
Okay, yeah. So Cowboys over the Eagles in this division, both still make the playoffs, obviously.
Yeah, clearly. The Eagles are 4-0. They're still very good. I like Philly would win most any other division. But what we've seen from Dallas outside of that Arizona game, I feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, every team gets one game like that. The Cowboys have used up theirs.
Tennessee's used up theirs.
Okay. Well, we can move on to the South. Which this is a team. I picked a team that I did not expect to pick.
You asked me 4 weeks ago. I would have said hell no.
I would have said last. I would have picked this team to finish last, but
it's Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's the Bucks. Baker Mayfield's stock has risen tremendously. He's not some star quarterback by any means.
No, but you can tell he's having a good time out there.
Yeah,
he's enjoying himself.
That the team likes him, which is huge, and it's just
Baker
okay. Baker is like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
he's that level.
Baker's always been better when he's confident, and he's playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Yeah,
and it's fun to see. It's fun to. He's a high energy guy. I think his teammates like him. I think they got a good thing going in Tampa right now. I don't remember the name, but I know I had forgotten actually during our predictions that they fired Byron Leftwich. I had completely forgotten that he had gotten shit canned.
Yeah, me too.
Their new coordinator, I can't remember. Let me look up his name real quick. Let me put some respect on his name because I know I looked this up a couple weeks ago.
Well,
But he's doing awesome.
yeah. The bottom of the barrel is the Panthers.
Carolina just can't get anything going.
Yeah, and if I mean Atlanta needs a quarterback change to change this season
I've
around.
Down to earth on Atlanta, and it is quarter. I think if Atlanta was getting just middle of the pack quarterback play, I still think they would win this division.
I have them finishing third.
I still have them finishing second ahead of New Orleans.
I still like New Orleans more than them.
We've seen from New Orleans, but both of those teams started 2-0 and are now 0-2 in their last two. So,
but at the very least, with New Orleans, you can say, well, let's have Derek Carr get back healthy. They have that to fall back on. The Falcons have maybe Heineke's better to fall back on, and that's not as good a thing to fall back on.
Dave Canales is his name.
Okay. Yeah. They're doing good. It's Baker has a number 13 wide receiver that likes him this time, which is helping tremendously.
This is wonderful news.
But yeah. You want to move on to probably the best division in this conference?
Yeah, I think
if
this
not,
has been a bit of a surprise to some degree.
If not the league.
Yeah.
Probably. I would probably say.
Because the AFC North is certainly a lot worse than we thought they were.
The North, the West, the Giants are pulling down the East, the NFC East a lot.
Yeah, the property value there is definitely they're pissing all over it, honestly.
Yeah, the winner is probably still pretty clear though in everyone's mind. It's the Niners.
San Francisco, and they're the best team in the NFL through 4 weeks. I think personally, I'm going to say.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, just as we both thought they were. I mean, heading into the season.
Although I don't have them as the number 1 seed, and it's because of their division.
Fair enough.
Which we'll get into. But as a little sneak peek.
Granted, Kyle Shanahan's always done a really good job against this division, but I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But Arizona is overachieving for sure. There's a lot of tryhards on that team.
I mean,
if
that's what you're doing, that's what you do.
This maybe should be reserved for the fantasy segment. I drafted Michael Wilson in either the last round or the second to last round of my fantasy league, and he had a breakout game. And at this point, until Atlanta makes a quarterback change, I am benching Drake London and starting Michael Wilson as of next week.
As you should.
Yes.
And even if they make a quarterback change, you still give that a week to play out.
Yes, absolutely. I like Heineke a lot. I think if they put him in, I think we'd see better production.
Probably.
But I think Michael Wilson was drafted in the 3rd round, and the only reason he fell, he could have been like a late day 1, early day 2 kind of guy, but he just couldn't stay on the field in college. But ability has never been a question with Michael Wilson, and he's proving it thus far. And in this game in particular, he had, I don't know the exact yardage. I know he had a lot. I don't know if he hit 100, but he's probably pretty close. But he had 2 touchdowns. And in general, looks really good in this game. And I think he'll continue to improve. He'll continue to get more involved. And we're going to see better production out of Michael Wilson, assuming he can stay healthy, which, of course, has always been his number 1 problem.
Right.
But, yeah, until further notice, Drake London is going to the bench.
Not
his fault, but he's going to the bench.
Yeah. Right. I think I'm ready to go into, because that's all the division winners. I'll
Also, Seattle's pretty good.
Yes, I got. We'll talk about.
Seattle's good.
Don't worry, I'll bring them up later.
I still like the Rams after this.
Yeah. But I think I'm ready to get into the award picks, which is probably what I was looking forward to more.
This one's fun.
Yeah.
This one's a lot of
so
fun.
I think we could start with the heavy hitters. We can go in order of like magnitude if you want.
Yeah.
We can do MVP. And for me, I'm gonna be doing both, like if season ended right now, who I would pick, and also projecting forward.
Yes.
So for MVP,
now for the projection, it's who do you think should win, or who do you think will win?
For me, it's gonna be. For me, it should, because like I
think there's no point in predicting who you think might win it. I think it's who do you think has the most impact for that team and whatnot.
It'll be easier to pick who will, like when it's happening, because you can be like, this is what I value, and this is what like this award typically ends up valuing. But projecting.
I love your shirt, by the way.
Oh, it's a small shirt.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, gotta.
I love it.
Smosh. Shout out
I
to
see it. I
love
see it.
love it. But
Sorry for there's gonna be a graphic superimposed on this, but it's
yeah,
a T-shirt with a tomato on it that says potato.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's pretty neat.
yeah.
But sorry, proceed with your MVP prediction.
So for MVP, I'm gonna. Are you also gonna be doing like right now versus projecting? Maybe depending on the award.
Yeah, maybe if I have a particular thought about it. But
Okay.
Sure, right now.
For MVP right now, there's 2 undefeated teams. I think if it's season ended right now, that matters. For me, it would be CMC right now.
Absolutely.
If season ended, it would be
Beyond a
CMC
doubt.
right now. That's a
Beyond a doubt.
pretty easy
I'm
one.
with you.
So you're
I'm
right.
with you
So
there.
you're with me on
Like,
CMC.
Absolutely. I mean, we both know the value of
Oh yeah. We'll
We
get
both
into it
see it.
fantasy wise.
Yeah, we both
I
see
would be
the 50
fucked.
The 50 points he just gave us.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
But if I was projecting forward, I don't think the Niners stay undefeated, and then at that point, even though I still think it probably ends up going to a quarterback, although, I mean,
I don't know which quarterback it goes to right now.
to me, if I'm projecting forward, I'm between 2 AFC East quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So for me, I picked the Dolphins to still win the division, so I'm going to go with Tua
It's going to be Tua.
projecting forward.
I think at
should
this
be.
point for me, I think I would say, like, if I had to project, I would say Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, it's because we've got the swap on the
Right.
so.
Now, granted, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is out of it, especially because I do think Kansas City's offense is going to improve as the year goes on. But yeah, I'm gonna say I've got Josh Allen right
And
now. for
I actually
projection.
have
CMC. easy.
I have Chiefs as the 1 seed. I'll spoil that right now. So I could see Mahomes getting it again, but I think winning that division first, winning the AFC East versus winning the AFC West, like one is more impressive than the other right now. Even with like the Patriots woes and like the Jets woes, they're starting to look better. I think by the end, I think it'll end up being Josh Allen or Tua, and I'm gonna go with Tua.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're on the same page with MVP.
Yeah.
Do you want to do Offensive Player of the Year?
It's Christian McCaffrey, and then it's also Christian McCaffrey. In terms of right now and projection, I don't see a world.
Yeah.
In which well, Justin Jefferson maybe, but even then, I think he won it last year, so there's voting
I don't.
there.
I also don't know how much MVP. Obviously, they factor in winning a lot. I don't know how much they factor in for Offensive Player of the
Probably
Year.
not. If you're just really fucking good at your job.
I don't know. I bet they do. I bet you see a trend of
I think he'll
going
be
to
a finalist.
playoffs.
I
But it's
think
but it's
Jefferson's
not
finalist.
1 seed. It's not MVP level of like 1 seed or division winners. Like you can be the
think-
7 seed and get it.
I think regardless of their record, I think we see Jefferson as a finalist. But I'm gonna say CMC right now, and I think
Yeah.
even projection wise, I'm gonna say CMC.
Yeah, if we're doing like 3, I bet the third finalist would be Tyreek Hill. Because
Well,
of
fun
that.
fact: Justin Jefferson has, I think, 13 less receiving yards than Daniel Jones does passing yards, and also 1 more receiving touchdown than Daniel Jones has passing touchdowns.
That's not too surprising, and I don't entirely blame Daniel Jones on that. I still don't like
No.
their weapons.
No, I don't entirely blame. I mean, the offensive line as well. Evan Neal blocked
Darren Waller,
Darren Waller in that game. But granted,
and I think that ended up being a pick.
but yeah, that was I would think that was the pick 6.
Hmm.
But again, this isn't a Daniel Jones topic, but in terms of like,
We could take a second
yeah,
on that.
the support isn't great. But if you're making $45 million,
I think it's just 40
or
because it was
$40
4-year
million,
160.
yeah, okay, no, you're right, it was 4 years. But if you're making $40 million, you should be able to elevate your team.
I don't know if 40 million is elevating money anymore at the quarterback position.
If that's the world we're living in, I hate it.
But I
that
think it
average
is the world we're
quarterbacks
living
are
in.
Well, it just might be, but I hate that average quarterbacks are good. Ryan Tannehill's $27 million a year looks like a fucking bargain right now.
Yeah.
Based on the
Dak
play-
looks good for his contract. That's just the thing with quarterback money now. And to me, I still don't blame Daniel Jones. I mean, I still think he can be
It's
a
not his fault.
yeah. I think
his
he's
fault they
getting
were
way
gonna
too
pay.
much hate because he kept them. He'll keep him in games sometimes just because he has to run it the way that he does. I said
I still
this.
think he's a very one-dimensional quarterback, though.
Maybe.
That's the problem. He's very not one-dimensional. One-dimensional as a passer.
Okay.
One-dimensional as a passer. He can run, obviously, but I mean, as a passer, he's very one-dimensional.
Yeah, but I said
There's really only one way you can win with him throwing the ball.
I
That's
texted you
like the
this,
bootlegs.
and I'm just gonna say it on the podcast. I didn't, but if I take away my Cowboys fandom, if I could give one team Marvin Harrison Jr., it would be the Giants because if Saquon's healthy, I know he's on a 1-year deal. I don't know what happens there, but like if I could give them to him now, then this would definitely be the case where, okay, Waller doesn't have to be this number one option that he has to be there.
He also stinks. He's just bad. He's bad.
Maybe.
He was bad last year. It's carried over into this year. He's been bad.
But you would have Saquon. I still like their defense. I think that defensive front can still be good.
Yep.
But if there's one team that needs a wide receiver one desperately that has like possible playoff hopes, they don't really have them anymore. But going into the season they did, would be the Giants giving them Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's fair.
But yeah, but do you want to?
Daniel, your offensive player of the year?
Yeah, we both were on CMC. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the only thing I threw in was that Tyreek Hill would probably also be a finalist, but wouldn't win. It would be CMC.
Yeah, that's fair. As long as we get health from Tyreek Hill, I think.
Yeah, or health from Tua. It might be the bigger question.
That too. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, we can move on to defensive player of the year. If the season ended right now, I would probably actually give it to Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I think. Well, if we're only going off week 4, it's Khalil Mack. It's
oh yeah, right.
Revenge game.
God.
My goodness, he's probably not even going to be a finalist. I don't think we're going to see that kind of production from Khalil Mack.
No.
This year.
No.
Good on him though.
He'll have double-digit sacks, and 12 of them will be against.
It's going to be
the Raiders.
Who was it a few years ago that had
Chandler Jones? 5 sacks?
No, because I know he did that against Taylor Lewan, but I'm thinking there was a few years before that. It was I can't remember his name. He was with New England, I think, or Atlanta. I'm forgetting. I hate that I'm forgetting. Like if I heard his name, I'd remember. But I think he played for the Falcons and he had like 6 sacks in one game and finished the year with like 10 or something like that.
Oh, I think he had the sacks against us. Did he have it against Cowboys? 'Cause I remember there was one game where Dak got absolutely and it was against Atlanta. I know it was against Atlanta.
I think this was 2016 or 2017 that this happened.
If it was 2017, I think that's when Dak's Atlanta nightmare happened because I forgot who we played. Chaz Green. It was the Chaz Green game.
Okay.
That's what it was. I mean that might line up.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I don't know, but what were we talking about? Oh yeah, defensive player.
Defensive player of the year. I would say if it ended right now, I'd give it to Myles Garrett.
I think that's fair.
Projecting forward, though, I would give it to Micah Parsons. And I did a little bit of research to see how much winning, like making the playoffs. I was
going to say, I think team success matters, and for that reason, it can't be T.J. Watt.
I don't think it'd be T.J., and I still don't think the Browns make playoffs either.
The defense is phenomenal.
It's phenomenal, but
just the offense, you don't know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis.
But since 1971, when the award first happened, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 7 players have won Defensive Player of the Year without making playoffs. Yeah. Most recent one was like J.J. Watt, 2014. Yeah. Because he won it 3 times, made playoffs 2 of those years, but didn't make it one of them. But yeah. And Michael Strahan, I think he broke the sack record in a year that the Giants didn't make playoffs.
Yep.
So it takes that kind of feat. You got to be the player of J.J. Watt caliber, which these guys are. Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt both are. But no, I think winning will end up mattering. At least making playoffs is going to end up mattering.
Yeah,
also, the defense.
When you look at that, it's Micah Parsons.
Yeah. Also, you look at all the team stats that, like in terms of pressures, sacks, stuff like that, win rate. That's built on Micah Parsons' back, so that's going to matter as well. What this defense will end up being by the end of the year, I think we're going to be probably the number 1 defense in the NFL by the end of the year.
Cleveland's the only other team I think with a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Between you and Cleveland, probably the 1 and 2.
I can agree with that. Yeah. But I think by the end of the year it'll be Micah Parsons.
But like I said, like you were saying with team success, like if Cleveland misses the playoffs, it's got to be Micah Parsons. Mm-hmm. And if they make it, then maybe Myles Garrett will for sure be in that conversation, and he'll be a finalist no matter what.
Oh yeah, no matter what.
Because he's just that dude.
He is.
But it's Micah Parsons, I think, going forward.
Definitely.
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think right now and going forward, it's going to be C.J. Stroud.
I'm with you. Going forward, I think the only player who gives me any kind of hang up is Anthony Richardson.
Uh-huh.
If the Colts really get rolling, but I mean, I've been waiting for C.J. Stroud to remind us that he's a rookie, and I thought it would be against Pittsburgh, and it wasn't. He's
Nope.
just playing
Especially
lights
with that
out.
offensive line that
He's
the
awesome.
Texans had to trot out.
Missing 4 starters against that pass rush, and
Didn't matter.
It
T.J. Watt got
didn't
no
matter.
sacks.
They beat the shit out of them. It wasn't even just that they won; they cooked them.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. So, also, I think I'm pretty much out on Kenny Pickett at this point. The only thing that would change
Same.
that is if we see an offensive coordinator change, and then things start to happen. But
Yeah.
I know Matt Canada's not doing him any favors.
No.
But I don't know that Kenny Pickett is that guy.
Yeah.
So,
But it could come down to.
But yes,
I know I have the Colts winning the division, and I'm picking Stroud now. But that award could come down to who wins if one of them win the division.
it could. That could play a factor. But I think generally, when it comes to just really like Kyler Murray won it in his rookie year over AJ Brown, and AJ Brown was in the playoffs, and
But I think.
Kyler Murray was.
But that's when they're doing quarterbacks against one another. I think making the playoffs will matter more.
Yes, I'm with you. Maybe that's a positional thing, but
Yeah, definitely.
we'll see. I think, like I said, Anthony Richardson is the only guy I think that can challenge him
Agreed.
right now. But it's definitely CJ. Like no argument, it's CJ Stroud as of right this moment, and it probably will be Stroud to finish the year.
It's just he's right now. What is he? He's the best quarterback on third down in the NFL right now, which is insane from a rookie.
Patrick Mahomes has also been great on third down.
I think
there's
I think week 4 changed that.
I guess you're right. It's probably CJ Stroud right now. CJ Stroud in general has been awesome, but especially on the money down, he's just been automatic.
It's
even on the third and long, like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, whatever. Stroud's just gonna deliver.
Yeah.
Nico Collins is, I think, like top 5 in receiving yards right now, and I know Tank Dell's pretty. He's like top 15 right now.
I got one in each league.
Yeah, they're both doing great though.
Yeah,
they're both doing big things.
Mm-hmm. But do you want to move on to defensive rookie of the year? This one's a little tougher, I think, at least in terms of like guys popping out. Real, truly. I think if it ended right now, he got injured against the Cowboys, but I think if it ended right now, it might be Christian Gonzalez.
I would say Jalen Carter.
Right now.
But,
yeah, I forgot all about. I think it's because I hate the Eagles. He just slipped my brain. But yeah, it is who would win. That is who would win.
Projecting like Gonzalez was the guy I was thinking of that could challenge him later on, but I think Jalen Carter would win it now.
You're right.
And will win it ultimately because again, like Jalen Carter was probably the second best player pound for pound in the draft behind Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
And of course, the only reason he fell as far as he did was because of the whole straight race incident where his teammate passed away.
Yeah. That's
big
deal.
By the way, the Bears could sure use some interior pass rush help.
The Bears could use absolutely, but honestly, it might end. Does Jalen Carter win them one game? Maybe he's that good.
Denver, yes, Denver.
Yeah, you're right.
They
beat Denver with it, so in the long run, it might actually be better that the Bears didn't because you do have an offensive lineman that you drafted that you can develop, and then you end up having the 1 and 2 pick, and you get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison. So it might work out long run, but that's what it would have to take.
Yeah, it would have to take Carolina continuing to be abysmal, and honestly,
I think they do.
I'm not as confident that they're gonna somewhat turn it around as I would, because I knew they were gonna start slow. That was my analysis on Carolina, but I don't think they're gonna turn it around like I initially thought they would. I think they're just gonna be bad.
So I don't think this is what happens because the reason I didn't say the records as well is because there's games where I'm like I'm looking at records and I'm like, well, that can't happen because it's just they're gonna lose ones or some teams are gonna win ones that I'm not thinking. But I didn't pick the Panthers in any of their remaining games to win.
Yeah, they're probably going to win one at some point. They're going to have or maybe 2 or 3, but I don't think they're winning more than 3 games.
Yeah.
I think 4 is the ceiling, and that's like if they somehow manage to get clicking offensively.
And then also,
defensively they're not doing bad.
Also, is passing on Jalen Carter like does knowing your quarterback's bad and being able to move off of him, is it worth passing up Jalen Carter? Like getting that confirmation because you're like, okay, we took a lineman. Like does that?
If they get Caleb Williams, yes.
Okay.
So
I can agree with
as
that.
of right now, it would be, and if they continue on this path, either if Carolina finishes as the worst team or if they finish as the worst team and they get Caleb Williams, yes, it's worth getting because I think obviously I'm biased, Vols fan, but I think Darnell Wright will have a very good NFL career
Hmm.
ultimately. I like Darnell Wright a
And
lot.
if you
Um,
get Darnell Wright and he has that good career protecting Caleb Williams,
you feel a lot better about passing on Jalen
you're
Carter.
like, you
If
know
it
what?
leads
We
you to
got
getting
Caleb
Caleb
Williams. Yeah.
But in the short term, obviously it hurts because Jalen Carter is Jalen Carter. But long term, yeah, if it leads to them getting Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Darnell Wright develops properly and can block for Caleb Williams, you feel a lot better about it.
Hmm.
So we'll see. But yeah, Jalen Carter, defensive rookie of the year for
Yeah.
sure.
And then comeback
Do we
player of
need
the
to
year.
do we need to do this one? It's DeMar Hamlin.
I was gonna say, has he played a snap yet
He,
though?
he played he played in the Buffalo game just now.
Okay. So yeah,
Played in
it'll
that
be
game.
him. If we remove him, then it'd probably be Tua.
Yeah.
So either way, it's an easy one. Just with DeMar Hamlin counting with him, like if you just for a fun thought exercise, if you remove him,
Who else was hurt last year?
I don't
that could
know.
be in consideration.
I don't know.
Off the top of your head. Not really.
Tua is about the only other one that I could think of besides DeMar. And I think since it's such a slam dunk, we could probably just move on.
We can move on.
Coach of the year, Mike McDaniels.
Yeah. Granted, if Indy wins the division, I think Shane Steichen is in that conversation.
I think
Full swing.
since so many coaches are taking what Miami's doing right now and implementing it already mid-season,
Yep.
it's going to be so hard for McDaniels not to win it.
If they're like the 2 seed, it's Mike McDaniel.
Mhm.
But I think regardless, I think Shane Steichen ends up as a finalist.
Yeah, I think that is the two it's between.
And I think you end up with D'Amico Ryans as a finalist as well.
Yeah, I guess if Texans make playoffs.
Well, even if they go like 8-9, there's a possibility he's a finalist because of how quick of a turnaround that is because they've been so bad the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'd have to look back at Coach of the Year and see how much. I would. That's probably one that they do value playoffs.
You won't win with a negative record,
Right.
but I think context matters of like what your team was expected to be and what they have been in the previous
Mhm.
years, and versus like what you did achieve with that team.
Right.
I think what D'Amico Ryans has been and what Houston has done, I think that's going to mean a lot for his chances of at least being a final. Like, if they have a negative record, they miss the playoffs. He's not going to win it, but I think him being a finalist is not out of the question.
Yeah. No, that's true. I definitely think he'll be considered, but I could.
Kyle Shanahan is.
Yeah,
gonna be a
he's
finalist.
probably a guy who's always going to be in that talk.
Mike McCarthy could be a finalist.
If Cowboys,
Uh,
Cowboys would have to have like the 1 seed for him to be really in that conversation, though.
yeah, I guess
Because
'cause
part
he's
of the
established,
thing
like,
that's-
we know what he is.
And because also the biggest problem with the Cowboys right now is Mike McCarthy related with it being our red zone offense
Yeah,
and
fair.
him calling plays. So, coordinator of the year would probably be Dan Quinn, though, if we want to give Cowboy coach some love.
Coordinator of the year. Jim Schwartz in Cleveland has a shot.
Yeah.
Um,
Any one
Bobby-
unit that's dominating.
Bobby Slovic in Houston. What he's doing with that offense, I think he's
Yeah.
in that conversation.
But if the Cowboys end up being the first team
Vance
since Pittsburgh to,
Vance Joseph, coordinator of the year. Book it.
yeah. Do you want to move on to? Do you want to do playoffs?
I was just gonna say, Shane Bowen has been a rock for Tennessee these last several years, and he probably wouldn't like be my pick for this award, but it's just like underrated defensive coordinator. Shane Bowen is awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Do you want to talk playoffs? What we think will happen there?
Playoffs. You want to talk about playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about playoffs.
Did you have you prepared for this segment at all? Like, do you have yours like?
No, I haven't like drummed it up, but I could like fire off the dome real quick, like what my seedings would be.
I can give you mine while you think if you want, or I can just go first regardless.
You go first, and I'll see what I can do.
So for me, I'll do the AFC first. The 1 seed is the Chiefs, 2 seeded Ravens, 3 seeded Dolphins, 4th seed is the Colts, 5th seed is the Bills, and then this one is really shocking, and I keep bringing this up that I picked the game, so it has to be because of their schedule. But I do have the Jets at 6 with 10-7.
Interesting. You think
I'm
they'll turn it around?
I'm trying to think. I think last night I do actually believe that they do, and I think I did this after Monday Night Football.
Okay.
So this isn't. I definitely picked this after they played well against the Chiefs. Saw Zach Wilson kind of have a light turn on, and then I have the Texans at 7.
I'm down with that.
I think to me the team that's like could prove me wrong the most is the Chargers, but I don't even love their wins. They're 2-2. I kind of hate their wins for them. They're not convincing in any way.
I have no faith in that team whatsoever.
But hey, the good news is Brandon Staley would get fired.
Yes, I have no faith in them whatsoever. They would have to win like many games convincingly and consecutively for me to say that's a playoff team.
So that's.
But I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this now.
Mm-hmm.
Could we see 3 AFC South teams?
I almost did. Yeah, you totally could. I almost had that.
Because I mean, we're gonna see 2 AFC East teams. Buffalo and Miami are locks.
It's just
unless something disastrous happens at the quarterback position.
Something crazy.
But obviously that doesn't count because obviously that changes.
That applies for everyone.
Like the Jets would be in the playoffs right now if Aaron Rodgers was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's an asterisk. But in terms of like you're gonna have Buffalo, you're gonna have Kansas City, you're gonna have Baltimore, you're gonna have whoever wins the AFC South, who else at Indianapolis, and then you're gonna have Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the next best team? I mean, maybe you see Cleveland.
Yeah, I refuse to put Deshaun Watson in playoffs.
Maybe you see Jacksonville. Granted, I'm leaving Jacksonville out until Doug Peterson starts calling plays again because Press Taylor stinks.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, got the Jags not making playoffs. Obviously,
I think that I'm picking 3 teams. I'm picking 3 teams from the AFC South and none of them are Jacksonville.
Valid. I've got them missing. I don't hate it.
And also the only reason is because Doug Peterson is not calling plays, and I get it. I understand why he doesn't want to. I understand why he wants to have more of that CEO type role that you and I have talked about. But he's hurting his team.
Yeah.
By letting Press Taylor call play because Press Taylor sucks.
Yeah.
He's not utilizing any of these players to their strengths right now. Travis Etienne is not running outside. He's trying to run him up the middle. That's not Etienne's.
That's what Bigsby's for.
Etienne's got speed. Like bounce him outside. Like let him fucking. But yeah, you're right. Bigsby is like a stocky, like good, like between the tackles kind of runner. Etienne's more of like a get him in space kind of runner. So it's and again like this is no shot at Jacksonville. The defense has I think been better than I thought they would be. Andre Cisco has absolutely broken out. Tyson Campbell is a bona fide CB1. Darius Williams is becoming the CB2 that he was supposed to be because that's what he was in LA with Jalen Ramsey. He was a bona fide CB2 and he played really well against Atlanta. Obviously at the pick 6 and in general he's been good so far this season.
So
and the pass rush has developed a little bit too. So but the offensive play calling is what holds us back.
So what's your rankings for the AFC go? How do they go?
I've got Buffalo at number 1.
Don't hate it.
I've got Kansas City number 2.
Okay.
I've got Baltimore number 3. And again, I'm looking at the schedule, so this is all subject to change.
Yeah.
Baltimore number 3.
Honestly, picking off, like when picking the schedules, you look at the end result, you like it even less than if you just went off the top of your head. But go,
Indianapolis number 4, of course. We both talked about them winning the division. Miami number 5. I think the 5th seed is almost a lock to be either Miami or Buffalo.
Yes. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I got the same thing there. In terms
I've got Tennessee at the 6th and Houston at the 7th.
Okay, I don't hate that. I think I'm undervaluing the win against the Bengals just because.
I think 8 and 9 is probably some combination of Cleveland and Jacksonville. And I think the Jets probably still finish pretty strong. I maybe the Chargers are the 10th. I don't know. Like it still feels weird leaving certain teams out, even though some teams have underachieved their projections.
It's because we like so much of their positives that we want them in, but when you really look at their negatives, you have to pull them down.
The whole, like,
because you're like,
in no world am I putting the Chargers in the playoffs because Brandon Staley
can't.
A terrorist.
I know they did it last year, but I just refuse to believe they do it again.
The conference, I think, overall is a little better this year, even if it's a little topsy turvy. It's not necessarily.
Yeah, it's also not. It's still not as good as me and you both thought it would be going in.
No, I thought well, granted, we definitely did talk about like there's so many good teams in this conference. Somebody's going to have to disappoint because there's just no way all 10 of these teams.
Yeah,
like,
we
I
said
think
disappoint, and we also just talked about a good
I
one
remember
not making it.
When Gabe sent us his division predictions or his record predict whatever, and I saw Tennessee with the 8th seed at 11-6. I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way everybody is this good, all winning 11, 12, 13 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody.
But the funny thing is, if you looked at each team individually, you're like, I could see that. That's valid. I could see that. That's valid.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like when you look in a vacuum at just one team, but like you gotta think somebody somewhere has to take a hit, and it's been the Jets so far. Probably, I'll say, due to the Aaron Rodgers injury. Full stop. The defense has been what they're supposed to be. Garrett Wilson is awesome, and if they had Aaron Rodgers, they'd be right in the thick of things.
Yeah.
But
do you want to move on to
yeah, I think I'm ready to move on. I think I've mostly
the NFC side. Do you want to start first on the NFC? Or do you want me to go first again?
No, you go first. I gotta type these.
Okay. So I do have I do I'm a homer. I do have but also I have my 1 through 3 seed. They have the same record, so it comes down to must come down to division. But I have the 1 seed is the Cowboys. The 2 seed. Okay, I don't know how this site makes sense then, because I thought the division record was like the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But the Lions have a better division record than the Cowboys, but they still have whatever. I'll just say Cowboys at the 1 seed. I've got the Lions at the 2 seed and the Niners at the 3 seed. And I think the only reason the Lions are higher is just because the Niners have to play the Rams in Seattle and the Lions don't. But yeah, so Niners at the 3 seed. The 4 seed are the Bucks.
Yep.
5th seed is the Rams.
Yep.
6th seed is the Eagles. And 7th seed is the Seahawks. And like I said, Eagles, I could peruse through their schedule, but like that was a team that I said like has an extremely hard schedule going forward that I don't know how much people are really factoring it in. Because I could say they have to play at the Rams. They have to play the Dolphins. It is at home, though. They still have both games with the Cowboys coming up. They have to play at Arrowhead against the Chiefs.
Yep.
They have to play the Bills. They have to play the Niners. And they play in Seattle. So they have an extremely tough schedule that I think brings them down to the 6th seed. They still are double-digit wins and are in the playoffs, but just quite maybe a little lower than what people are expecting right now, off of being 4-1, 4-0.
I hear that. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
What about you? You got your NFC thoughts?
For me, it's the best team in the league is going to be the 1 seed. And
valid.
That's not perfectly sound logic. Obviously, you're right. Schedule matters.
Mm-hmm.
But if San Francisco is better than every team they play against, they're gonna win almost all those games. They're gonna lose a couple because that's football. But yeah, San Francisco is the 1 seed for me. Dallas is the 2. I still feel like they're the second best team in this conference. I think I've been more impressed with them than I have been with Philly, regardless of the record right now. I think overall, as a complete body of work, what we've seen from Dallas, that Cardinals game feels like an outlier rather than like a potential weakness to be exploited.
Right.
Got Detroit finishing 3rd.
Because you know what I forgot to mention? Sorry to butt in here, but
you're good. You're good.
Because the Cowboys gave up so many rushing yards against the Cardinals, but then against the Patriots, they held them to I think it was 53.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I think that it was something they were able to adjust to going forward because the Patriots can still run the ball well. So that's not like – I think that's a team that maybe it's not the best running team, but it's a good enough one to feel good about your run defense going forward.
Oh, and I totally forgot to elaborate on this with the AFC, but the reason I have my Titans making the playoffs, outside of just bias,
of course,
outside of just being a homer, one, the run defense is the best in the NFL, so they force offenses to become one-dimensional. And the pass defense is getting better because the secondary play is slowly improving.
Yeah.
Sean Murphy Bunting, I think, is the 11th highest graded corner right now for PFF. And really the only concern I've had with SMB so far this year is just he's too handsy and he gets penalized. But you're going to take that with like a pure man coverage corner, like who just locks his guy down.
Yeah.
You're going to take, a holding call here or a PI there. You hate it. But because it hurts, it gives the other team first down, whatever. But you're gonna take it if he's locking them down every other play. Fulton was good in this game, which is a nice surprise because he's been terrible so far this year. Roger McCreary continues to be really good, and the safety duo is arguably the best in the NFL. I don't
Yeah.
feel like uncomfortable saying because Kevin Byard, I think in terms of like if you look at the elite safeties, Kevin Byard's the most well-rounded out of all of them
Mhm.
because Derwin is definitely better in run support and as a blitzer, but he's not as good purely in coverage as Kevin Byard is.
Yeah.
And maybe Jesse Bates is a better cover player, but again, Byard adds more in run support than I think Jesse Bates does. So Byard's the most well-rounded safety in the league. And then Amani Hooker is just baby Byard. He's the same player, just not quite as good necessarily in any aspect of the game. But almost as good of a ball hawk, honestly, at this point. Amani Hooker has always been a ball hawk all the way back to his days as an Iowa Hawk. Emphasis on the hawk. He's always been a ball hawk.
Yeah.
Um,
But I guess back to
and
getting
the
back
pass
on.
rush is great, but yeah, sorry. Also, the offense I think will continue to look like they've looked
So you've got Niners at
in
1,
games.
Cowboys at 2,
Sorry,
Lions 3.
Detroit at 3. I've got Tampa Bay at 4.
Right.
As I think we both agree.
Yeah, we
here.
both do.
Tampa Bay is at this point they've proven to be the best team in that division through the first month. We'll see how it shakes out. I'm not giving up on Atlanta, but I've definitely come down to earth on them. Philadelphia at 5. I still think they're really good. And of course, they're already 4-0, so the record I don't anticipate anybody else in the wild cards having a better record than Philly. I know that their schedule gets much.
I guess I have them.
That's the hang-up.
They have the
play
same
Dallas
record
twice.
as the Rams in my ending. I guess I don't know what the tiebreakers are, but
Yep.
oh, you know what? I
And
think I have the Rams winning.
Yep.
Against the Eagles, and that must
Just
be what
beat
it
the
is.
Eagles.
Yeah,
I
Which we'll
have
get into.
the Rams. I have the Rams at 6.
6.
And because even though they're 2-2 right now, I'd like Cooper Cup's got to get back.
Yeah,
Eventually.
I've loved.
Um,
Yeah, they look good.
I have the defense is overachieving their projection, which I feel like they always do. Like
Mhm.
you can't name a single player on the defense besides Aaron Donald and maybe a couple other guys. Well, the average fan probably couldn't, anyways. Cause
Right.
It is a ragtag group of dudes.
Which is how they've. Which is
But it
which is
works.
how they've been. They've been
They've been always a little bit of star power,
stars
and
and dudes.
fill in the gaps with just dudes.
Yeah.
And this is one of the teams, especially they never have a first round pick. They're never picking it day one. But so they always have to find dudes in the later rounds, and it works.
Which they
to
do
their
good
credit.
at. And then your 7 seed.
And my 7th seed is going to be the Packers. I'm not so
Oh.
on this team.
I think I have them as the 9th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it's hard to keep Seattle out. I'm not
It's
saying
tough.
like the ship has sailed on Seattle. I like Seattle. It's hard to keep them out, but I like Green Bay a lot. And I think ultimately, now granted, if Green Bay does miss the playoffs, I think that might actually be good for them because maybe they will finally fire Joe Barry because Joe Barry stinks. Not a very good defensive coordinator.
Consistent run
underachieves with the talent on that roster, and just too as soon as they get a lead, he has to play super conservatively, and he consistently lets teams back into games, and you hate to see it from Joe Barry. And I think he's not the worst defensive coordinator in the league, but I think I'm sorry, I'm getting a little off topic here, but overall, I believe in Jordan Love. I believe in the growth this offense is going to have. There's a lot of young playmakers.
Christian Watson's finally back.
Yeah, Watson's back.
Seattle. I mean, beating the Lions. I mean, that's a pretty impressive game.
It's not an impressive win, but again, Green Bay still plays Detroit one more time this year. We'll see what happens in the rematch. But it's only 1 month into the season. We're going to do this again for week 8.
And we're going to have some differences. We're obviously going to be changing things around.
This is not going to be the same 4 weeks from now as it is
right
now, and that's a good thing because that's fun.
Yeah.
The NFL would be very boring if the same teams were on the top throughout the entire season.
Did you write down who you had each seed?
Yeah, I have it. I changed it.
Okay.
From the originals.
Do you want to start picking games? Do a full playoff prediction?
Yeah, I suppose I could.
Okay. I'll Do you want me to go first? We want to do AFC. Yeah. We'll go AFC, AFC, NFC, NFC. Okay. So I'll go first with the wild card weekend.
Yep.
And it's tough. I've got the Bills beating the Colts, the 5 beating the 4 seed, and then I do have the 3 seed Dolphins beating the 6 seed Jets, and then the 2 seed Ravens beating the 7 seed Texans. I know that there should maybe there should be another upset, but Because is
Wild card
Buffalo,
weekend always has upsets.
and then not only that they do, and you'll see it more on the other side. But
Yep.
I don't even think there's a real upset in that weekend for me because Buffalo beating the Colts isn't going to be an upset given the seeding. But that is what I have just because I'm looking at it. I think the AFC is more top-sided, so I think maybe upsets are even less likely just over there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Did you want to do AFC or did you want me to do both sides first?
I thought, are you gonna finish your whole AFC?
I thought we were gonna go like round together.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so I've got the 2-seed Chiefs beating the 7-seed Texans. I think it's gonna be a game. It's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah, it'll be a nice little shootout.
The 5-seed Miami, of course, beating the 4-seed Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got the 6-seed Tennessee beating the 3-seed Baltimore. I think Baltimore wins the regular season matchup here in a couple weeks, and I think Tennessee gets it back in blood.
I forgot you guys have a little rivalry with them.
Yeah, and it started after we beat them in the playoffs when they went 14-2 in 2019. We went 9-7, and we didn't just win; we won convincingly.
Mm-hmm.
Like that game was never a game.
You really hurt Lamar Jackson's reputation with that game.
Yeah, and I hate that we did because I love Lamar Jackson, but I just remember that was like Derrick Henry had over 200 rushing yards in that game.
So that's valid.
He had a jump ball touchdown pass in that game too to Corey Davis.
That's right.
Johnny Smith had the ass cheek catch.
So yeah. So
but this has been a rivalry kind of going on the last few years. Now I'm sure it'll get heated in London in 2 weeks as well. I'm sure we're gonna see some kind of skirmish at some point. Somebody getting a little chippy on the sideline, maybe. We're gonna see something. There's no logos to be stepped on. I think that's probably why the NFL chose this as a neutral site game, so that nobody could step on anybody's logo. Because both teams have done that in the last couple matches.
Yeah, I remember that.
Tennessee won in Baltimore, and we were like huddling up on their logo, and John Harbaugh was coming over, and he was all pissed. And Mike Vrabel was like, "Go coach a game," and then we won that game. That was the game where AJ Brown just like powered through an entire village of defenders to get the touchdown. After catching it like 5 yards short, and then of course they got it back in blood in the playoffs. They played in Tennessee, they beat us, and then they stomped all over our logo after they won. So this is a good thing. This is a neutral site game. But off topic, I've got Tennessee winning that one.
Yeah, and then did you so you want me to do the NFC side now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I've got the 5-seeded Rams beating the 4-seeded Bucks.
Okay.
I've got the 2-seeded Lions beating the 7-seeded Seahawks. I think they get that back. And then here's the real upset. Yeah. I've got an upset, I guess you could call it, seeding-wise, of the Rams beating the Bucks. But big upset, I have the Eagles beating the Niners wild card weekend.
Nope.
You got to call some shots. I'm calling this shot right now.
Nope, wrong shot to call. Sorry.
I think that they I just think they get him. I think they got him.
Yep.
That's what I got.
I can't hate, but I've got this is a playoff rivalry in and of itself. I've got the 2-seed Cowboys beating the 7-seed Packers. I like Green Bay's direction, but they're not beating Dallas.
Yeah.
I've got the 6-seeded Rams beating the 3rd-seeded Detroit Lions. I don't want to pick the Lions to be round 1 exits because I love what Detroit's doing, but I don't want to pick against the Rams either. So, and then I've got Philadelphia beating the Buccaneers as they did in the regular season. I think they win that matchup too. So I've got 2 wild card teams winning in this conference as well. So 2 wild card wins per conference, which is typically what happens for some reason. Like the road team often wins the wild card weekend. It's just a thing. You see it a lot. So.
Yeah.
And I like my picks as like logically wise as well, not just because they're wild card upsets. So yeah, I'm going with those.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't really hate anything.
Fair enough.
Did you want to? So do you want to do divisional round now?
Yeah. You go ahead, man.
So for the AFC, I've got the 3-seeded Dolphins.
Yep.
Beating the 2-seeded Ravens.
Okay.
And then I've got the 5-seeded Bills coming into Arrowhead and knocking off the Chiefs.
Yep.
The number 1 seeded Chiefs.
Hell yeah. I like that a lot, actually.
And, you could see what that sets up for the conference final. But, yeah.
Yep.
I had change of heart. I
No.
actually flipped it from the Chiefs winning
Yeah.
to the Bills winning, but I just
I kind of like where you're going there, but I'll get to that later.
okay. You're
Actually, I'll get to it now. Actually, because
okay.
I just did both of you. Never mind. It's my turn, so actually I'll get to it right now. I've got the top-seeded Bills beating the lowest remaining seed, the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is another rivalry that's been going on the last few years. We've played them almost every. This is the first year we haven't played them since like 2017 or something like that. We've played them like every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Buffalo beating Tennessee. I've got Miami going to Arrowhead and beating Kansas City.
Ooh, so we both have an AFC East team knocking off the Chiefs.
Yeah,
That's fun.
I think we're just gonna see like Mike McDaniel just in his bag.
Against Andy Reid, he's gonna be pulling out all the stops.
That's a fun coaching matchup.
Yeah, it is.
McDaniel's gotta be in his bag.
And then you want me to do the NFC side?
Yeah, what you got, man?
I've got the 5th seeded Rams knocking off the 2 seeded Detroit Lions. And then
We both have the Rams beating Detroit in our playoff predictions, just a different round.
yeah. And then I have the Dallas Cowboys defending home turf against the Philadelphia Eagles to make it to the first conference championship game in like damn near 30 years.
I can get down with that.
Yeah, so that's what I got for the NFC side. What you rocking?
All right, I've got San Francisco beating the Rams as they so often do.
Right.
The only time they haven't in recent memory was in the playoffs a couple of years ago when the Rams won the Super Bowl. They had to get through San Francisco to get there. And then I've got Dallas beating Philly.
Oh, so we both got
You'll appreciate.
that. Nice.
Got Dallas beating Philly. So I've got a San Francisco versus Dallas rematch, except this time in the NFC Championship.
Great. When the stakes are even higher, we play the team that gives us the most trouble.
Yes.
Dope.
It'll be so interesting to see that matchup. But you guys play them in a couple weeks, right?
Next week. It's this week.
Oh, this upcoming game.
Mm-hmm. Sunday night.
I was gonna say that's definitely not gonna be a 12 o'clock slate or 1 p.m. slate game. So I can watch that one.
Those brands playing each other, yeah, those are primetime games right there.
You have to. That's huge.
And then so AFC Championship game, I have the Buffalo Bills beating the Miami Dolphins. Pretty tough one. It would end up being a 2-1 series split for the year, but the Buffalo Bills come into Miami and get the most important win. I think I just trust Josh Allen going superhuman like he did last time against them.
Yeah, I think I've also got granted I've got Buffalo at home in this series, but I got Buffalo beating Miami as well. And I have Buffalo losing the next game to Miami in the series in the regular season, just still finishing ahead of them.
Okay. I've got them losing the next one but finishing behind them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Barely.
But yeah, I've got Buffalo knocking off Miami.
Okay. And then for the NFC,
yes sir, what you got?
I have to. You have to. I got the Dallas Cowboys beating the Los Angeles Rams, going to their first Super Bowl in like 30-ish years.
All right, I've got the Niners going back to the bowl.
All right.
Hey, you can't get mad.
I can.
It's fair.
Gosh. It's just, it sucks because the team you're picking to knock us off as well is like so good at doing it against us.
And I understand this is one of the more historic rivalries in the league.
It's probably.
I get it.
It might be the best historic conference rivalry.
Yeah, out of division interconference rivalry. Yeah, I think
the maybe Patriots Steelers. It's just
that didn't last as long though.
Yeah,
that was really only
them and then it's
Brady and Ben era.
And then it's maybe Broncos or Colts, Patriots. Yeah. I mean, against one of those teams, it's just tough. But it's Niners, Cowboys. I also think that the Cowboys are in the best Super Bowl rivalry between them and the Steelers, having played each other 4 times, I think, in the Super Bowl.
Fair. Yeah.
Cowboys versus everybody, man.
Cowboys versus everybody.
Got the best rivalries out there.
All right, brother. Your your Super Bowl prediction.
My Super Bowl,
think
and
I
it's a
know who that
bittersweet
would be.
one because this is one that I've
Oh.
wanted. A lot of people have wanted for a while.
Yep.
Bills, Cowboys, because it would have been the Diggs Bowl.
Yes.
But Trayvon would not be out there to cover his brother.
You hate it.
Yeah, this would be a bittersweet one. I joked about this possibly happening when we heard the Trayvon news, and now I'm staring at like my own prediction being this exact thing.
Yeah.
Even with the loss of, I'm going to give you my reasoning.
Yep.
Even with the loss of Diggs, if there was a pass rush to make Josh Allen do Josh Allen things in the negative sense, it would be the Cowboys pass rush.
I think that's
So I think with that pass rush, there's always a reason to pick the Cowboys in a game, even if you don't actually pick them, because it's so good. It's like that could always swing a game. And ultimately, I think the Cowboys, with Micah Parsons winning Super Bowl MVP for his performance, win the Super Bowl.
yes. That's fair.
That's what I got.
I've got San Francisco beating Buffalo in this game, and it sucks that we both have Buffalo losing yet another Super Bowl.
Well, Buffalo should be used to losing Super Bowls to the
0
Cowboys.
0-5 at this point in the Super Bowl after our predictions.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think San Francisco, like this, it's gonna work for them eventually, man. Like it just has to.
Does it?
I don't know. I think Brock Purdy is a little closer to Jimmy Garoppolo than I'd like him to be. Sometimes, it sucks because he's definitely an upgrade. Like
For sure.
definitively.
Ask Raiders fans who they'd rather have
but
throwing the
it's-
ball.
but he's every once in a while he'll make a throw and you're like, yeah, Jimmy would have made that throw, and it would have been an interception when Jimmy threw it too. But for some reason, defenders drop it when you do it. I don't know how that works, but
Yeah.
because he had a ton of drop picks last year. Now he's been better this year. I think with ball security. In fact, against Arizona, like he didn't throw an incompletion until like his 14th pass attempt or something like that, and I think he only finished the game with like 1 or 2 incompletions. He was really, really good in that game.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think again Purdy's been exactly what I thought he would be. He's a point guard. He's a damn good one,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a facilitator. He gets the ball to his playmakers,
And they've got some of the best playmakers in the league.
I have CMC winning Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, that's probably what would happen if they were to win.
I think they win it all. I think it's a good game though. I don't think Josh Allen will stink, but I do think maybe like a Nick Bosa.
But
or
the
Nick
problem
Ross
is,
edge rusher
Nick
is going to
Bosa's
force
rushing
him
a
to
white
make
quarterback.
one.
You got to factor that in.
No, you're right. I don't know.
Does that change anything for you?
Yeah, I think that maybe dresses up a score a little bit. I don't think San Francisco loses the game because of it. But yeah, then point taken. I didn't consider that.
You always got to think about it.
You always got to think about.
It's the reason some people
how
say
much-
Hutchinson can only be so good because he doesn't have that racist dog in him.
Yeah, I think that's what separates Hutchinson from. I think Hutchinson's going to be closer to like Max Crosby than he is Nick
Mhm.
Bosa at some point. But
Because they don't
which
got.
is not a bad thing. at
No,
all.
Max Crosby's. If
awesome.
Max Crosby was on a different team, maybe we talk about him in a better light. Maybe we talk about
Max
him like.
Crosby probably has the best motor of any edge,
Mm.
and possibly of any player. in the
He's
league
tied.
on a snap-to-snap basis.
It's funny
He just gives
for
it.
for pressure leaders right now. Hutchinson, Crosby, and Parsons are all tied with 27.
I didn't know Hutchinson was that high, but
I-
that's awesome.
I didn't. I did. PFF posted something earlier today. I screenshotted it to try to remember it when we talked about Defensive Player of the Year, and I did not remember to bring it up.
Awesome. Well,
But it
either
brought
way,
up-
Hutchinson's having a good year.
He
But-
is. Do you want to
Excuse me.
move on to regular season picks for this upcoming week?
Hell yeah, let's do it. This is gonna be a fun week of football, I think.
And let me just set the scene here for the picks. So we went into this last week tied
Mhm.
for picks, and then let's see. Did I not screenshot them? I thought I did, but I was in my bag.
You were in your bag.
Oh wait, yeah, here they are. I was in my bag when it came to these picks.
Yeah.
Let's see, which one's the first one? So I was right about Detroit winning. You picked Green Bay,
I did
and
pick
then
Green Bay.
we were both right about Jacksonville. We were both right about Baltimore. We were both wrong about Cincinnati.
Oh, you beat me by 2.
Yep.
Shit, I should
In-
have been a homer this week. The one week I'm not a homer.
Yeah. And then we were both right about Denver.
Yep.
I was right about the Rams. You picked Indy, and then I was right about Buffalo.
I was almost right on that.
And then you were almost the same thing here because I picked Buffalo. You picked Miami.
Yep.
We both picked Minnesota and we're right. And then I picked Houston, and you picked Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And then
And you were right on Houston.
the one that I was wrong about New Orleans.
Chicago?
No.
Did you pick Chicago? Okay.
I was wrong about New Orleans.
Yep.
You were right about Tampa. We were both right about Philly, and then I was wrong about the Giants.
Okay.
I was holding on to that last little hope for the Giants, but it is dead. And you were right about Seattle. Yep. So that leaves me up 2 points right now. It's 39-37 for the year total. I had my best week.
Yeah, you're up by 2.
I hear my grandparents just got here. We'll have to do picks later.
Okay, yeah, that's good with me, man.